Hello, I'm Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this video series is called I Want to Be a Better Coach. And the intention is to ask questions or discuss things that are challenging to us as coaches, regardless of the level of work and the experience that we've had. But we're also, many of us coaches are people who are in the health field or in the beauty field or teaching or parents or in the 12-step program as sponsors. We're coaches all over the place. So wherever we have challenges of listening and speaking and being curious, that's what I'm speaking to. And because in a sense my training was originally as a marriage and family therapist, a marriage, family, and child therapist, and then I have training in spiritual guidance and spiritual companioning. I'm an ordained minister that way, and then becoming a coach. So I have all these levels of experience, and a lot of experiences that kind of integrate all of that together, but also move it our up level, hopefully, and elevate our work and my work particularly into a state of being that is much more focused on how I'm being with my clients and where I get in the way. And where I get in the way, I have no doubt, is where sometimes you get in the way potentially, or where you could get in the way, or you may have ways you get in the way of your coaching and your clients that maybe I don't. So that's what I'm doing here, is talking about how do we be more effective and more better coaches. So today I want to talk about a number of things. And the first thing that came up, and I have a group of coaches that we get together every other week, basically, and talk about the things that challenges us as human beings, as coaches, and also in terms of being clients as well. And so these conversations really influence what shows up here, because those things are what challenges individuals and can challenge you and me. And if you're interested in participating in that group, there's an email to me direct to let me know if you're interested in joining a group. It's really a great supervision, mentoring, and collaborative community. That's pretty much it. So I wanted to talk first of all about being interested enough. So this again came up in the coaching group of, am I interested enough to stay present to where my client is? So quite often, and the primary focus of these is, what am I listening for? Now, this is number 41. So this 41st video on the topic of being a better coach. So, but because it always kind of comes down to, what am I listening for? And the question is, am I curious enough? Am I interested enough in this individual and who they are becoming? Am I interested enough in witnessing their becoming that I'm willing to stay in the moment, present to who they are and how they are, and really reflect and hold that space for them so they can witness themselves in that moment? Am I interested enough? And that degree of interest, if you will, is reflecting in a sense, am I distracted by my thoughts about money, or my thoughts or fears about will they come back, or what if they get healthy, or what if they get what they want? All of those things. Like, do I get distracted, or do I get curious about things that I'm more curious about? Are they talking about something that kind of takes me out of my comfort zone? Am I interested enough to stay present with that discomfort of my own issues, if you will, or my own angst, or, oh my God, I've never talked about this, or this is really uncomfortable? Am I interested enough in staying in that state? This is a big question. A friend of mine was talking about some personal issues that are coming up, and she's a therapist, and where these personal issues are coming up is a reflection of where she may get in the way of her own client's work, because this is so, in a sense, integral to her being, is if she doesn't actually handle these issues, that will get in the way of her clients being able to be, for her to be present to her clients in that way. That's why supervision is so important. That's why continuing coaching is really important, so that you can see, oh, this is an issue for me that gets in the way of me being present with my client. So it's really important that we're asking ourselves this question. And again, where do I get distracted? Where is what my client is talking about, again, uncomfortable for me? Or I don't know how to respond. We talked about that last week. I think it's like, what do we say when we go, I don't know what to say in this moment. And in that moment, there's a vulnerability. And it can be a moment of humbling to say, wow, I don't know how to be here. But I'm interested and curious enough to stay in this moment with you. And that's an opening. That's an opening, and we don't know. There's a vulnerability most of the time if we're not comfortable with that kind of opening and going, I don't know what's showing up here. I don't know what this is about. We don't, as coaches, we don't have to have the answers. It was one of the things that was really a relief for me to know I don't have to have the answers for my clients. In fact, if I had the answers for my clients, I would not be very valuable, because as a coach, I'm supporting and empowering themselves to really be accountable inside for themselves, to really take a look at who they are and what's going on the inside. And if I think I have the answers, then I'm going to get in the way. So do I have the ability, the capacity to stay open to, I don't have the answers, and see what shows up? See what shows up. I don't know what's going to show up, but I have confidence and I have faith that what's going to show up is going to be bigger than what would happen if I had the answers or gave answers or said, hey, let's try this, or let's fix this. Let's do something to make this uncomfortable moment something other than that. So being interested enough to stay in these challenging places with our clients is what's going to grow our capacity to be with that, but also allow our clients the capacity to really pay attention to what's going on for them, which I'm going to get to here. This whole conversation is about this. And in a sense, I written down is experiencing the experience of experiencing. So what most of us are doing 90% of the time is avoiding and distracting and ignoring, avoiding and distracting ourselves from experiencing what we're experiencing. We are, in a sense, taught to stay in our mind, to stay mental, and not really connect with our visceral, our embodied experience. But you, as a coach person, in a conversation, is having an experience. I'm having an experience now, and so can I be in the experience of experiencing what I'm experiencing? I know that's a lot of experiencing, but the point is that can we be in the experience of experiencing? Or do we take ourselves out of that place where it's uncomfortable? And where it's uncomfortable for us, you can bet there's a degree of discomfort with our clients. Not necessarily, but if we're in this discomfort place and won't let ourselves experience that, we're not going to be able to give our clients the permission, if you will, to experience what they're experiencing. So quite often, I'll say 99% of the time in a coaching session, I'm going to say to my client, what's going on for you right now? What just happened? What are you experiencing? I was with a client yesterday, and I asked him a question, and he put his head down, and because we were outside and the sunshine and stuff, I wasn't sure, but he was emotional. There were some tears that came up. And I say, like, what are you experiencing right now? I'm not saying, what are you thinking? I say, what are you experiencing? Because something greater than just a thought is happening. And so making room for the experience is really important. And our comfort as a coach, our comfort to be with our clients experiencing what they're experiencing is critical in this work. In a sense, for me, my work as a transformational coach is not to do the bada bing, bada boom, and presto magic with my magic wand, make everything right and happy for my client, and they now have what they want. This transformational coaching work is taking people through the process, experiencing themselves in the process of becoming who they want to be, becoming the person who can manifest whatever it is they're wanting, manifest from freedom and prosperity, and not from fear and lack. So it's a process that our clients are going through, and my ability to be present to that without like, they're going to go into scary places and I don't want to be there. It gets in the way. So I don't want it to get in the way. I want to be more and more that in a sense a conduit, but also a presence for my client to experience the fullness of who they are and be willing to experience the experience they're having, as opposed to going, oh, nothing, I just had something in my eye, or some disregard for what's happening for us here. Because we're a human spirit. We're an emotional, human, energetic, vibrational frequency. That's what we are. And all of that means that there's a continuation, a continual process of experiencing reality. And how we experience that is what I do as a coach, is say, how are you experiencing this? Well, I'm disregarding it, or I'm avoiding it, or I'm ignoring it, or I'm putting it away, or all of those things. It's like, okay, great. And what is it you want? Like, are all of that ways that you're avoiding and distracting you being in your experience, is that getting you towards what you say you want? And generally speaking, it's not. Generally speaking, it's getting in our own way, because we need to know what this experience is so it guides us. So we know that this experience, which is our true self, that it is will have the freedom to express itself in a way that will take us towards what we want. I'm saying we as in me as a human, and as my clients as humans, to say, hey, when I'm listening to this, I'm more likely to follow my passion and my inspiration and my calling and be more in alignment with my true self. And I was talking to a woman, we were having a couples coaching session, and I said, well, what have you noticed since the last time we met? And she said, oh, I'm experiencing more ease and more relaxation, more compatibility, more fun. Like, those are words she was those are experiences that she was having because of the work that she's doing and he's doing in this couple's work. But she was like, wow, those are big shifts, that she's experiencing that. So it's a question I use a lot. What are you experiencing, or what are you noticing, or what's showing up, so people can have the experience that they are experiencing? So the more that you can practice that in yourself, like, where are you allowing yourself to experience your own self? Where in your coaching sessions are you aware of what you're experiencing? That's a good thing. It's like, oh, I'm experiencing some tension. I'm experiencing some uncertainty right now. And some of that uncertainty that you're experiencing, it could be with your client that's experiencing that. So there's this thing that's happening between client and coach. That's a symbiotic relationship. It just is. And so if we can go, wow, there's, what's showing up here? Like, I'm sensing something, or there's some uncertainty going on, perhaps in myself. I'm curious. What's going on for you? Or you might go, I'm uncertain right now. I don't know where to go with this conversation. That's huge. I don't know where to go with this conversation. And that can be an opportunity for your client to go, well, here's where I'd like to go, or here's what's showing up for me. Or generally what I say when I'm in those experiences of uncertainty, I'll say, I don't know where to go. Let's go back to what it is you want from our time together. Let's get back on track, in a sense. If I feel like we've gotten off track, to say, So let's get back to what you wanted from our time together. Can you tell me again what you want? So there's ways to be with this experience. I'm talking about a number of things, as always, in the conversation. I'm experiencing uncertainty, or I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing. And how do I own that and appreciate that and be present to my client? If I can't do that, that's the place where I need supervision. That's the place where I need to maybe end the session early and say, look, let's finish this conversation another day because I'm having a hard time focusing on you. So those kinds of things are really challenging our sense of who we're supposed to be. But what we're really about as coaches, as life coaches, is, in a sense, as best as we can, be a model for conversation and curiosity and presence and respect and trust of the person in front of us, whatever that means. So the other element I want to bring into this is when I'm talking about being interested enough and I'm talking about experiencing the experience of experiencing, there's a place where we want to make positivity. We want to create positivity for our clients. We want to, in a sense, dismiss uncomfortable emotions, dismiss the visceral responses or emotional stuff that's hard to be with. And we want to make it positive, or we go, oh, let's work through that. Or, we can get there by going in this direction. We want to do something, in a sense, force a positivity where currently there isn't a positivity. And that's a good thing to know. In a sense, we make discomfort wrong and bad when it's not. It's so valuable for our clients to go through that discomfort. Just something that's more and more clear to me is, as we go through the discomfort and the hardships of life, we recognize, and again, you've heard me say this, recognize and witness our own becoming through that. We recognize the courage and the strength and the conviction, like what it takes to get through hard stuff. A client I have had multiple addictions, and he was able to stop it. He was able to stop those addiction patterns and get on track with who he wanted to be. And I said to him, how often have people said to you, wow, you're really strong and courageous to have let go of all that, those ways of numbing yourself out. You're so courageous. I said, how often have people asked you that? Or, said you're courageous? And he goes, I rarely has anybody acknowledged me. And I go, yeah, we don't want to talk about or address negativity unless we can make it better or fix it. But the truth is that we are every single human being is here and in some level of discomfort at some point in phases in our lives. And we tend to avoid and ignore it versus being present to, wow, what's it like being you right now? Again, going back to experiencing the experience of experience. It's like, what's it like being you right now? It's like, it sucks. I was talking to a client today who's in the midst of some transition, some metamorphosis stuff. And she goes, it's like, Rizzy, it's like being in a dark room, and I can't find the light switch. And I keep stumbling over the furniture and breaking stuff. And I go, well, that's really interesting. And we talked about the first phase of being in this darkness, which is panic and terror and numbness and paralysis. Like I can't move because I don't know if it's safe. I don't know what's in this darkness. It's like becoming blind. I don't know anything. And when you realize at some point, you go, okay, that's okay, but I can't live here because this isn't going to be helpful. And we start to go, okay, what am I listening for? Is there any sounds? Is there anything that sounds dangerous? You realize that you're safe, even though it's all dark. And then you might start stumbling into things, and it's like you fall over things and all this stuff, and you go, there's stuff, and I don't know what to do, because this is what happens. This woman, she just completely always articulates this in such brilliant, like, I don't know how to be in this blindness, in this total darkness. And at the same time, she's learning how to be in this darkness, this unknown, this uncertainty of who she is. From panic and terror to, okay, I just fell over a chair. Oh, I fell over this thing. It feels like a chair. It's like, oh, here's this thing that feels like an accordion. Oh, here's this thing. And we start to be able to identify things in a way that brings some sense of self in here. So we're doing this, coming back to when you're in the dark, or when clients are in difficult places. That's that they're learning to be themselves. They're learning the courage. They're learning character. They're learning that there's something inside that's bigger than the fear. They're learning they can overcome the panic. They're learning. They're exercising those muscles of strength and courage. And if we go for positive and let's fix it and let's give them some solutions, they miss the opportunity to know who they are in here. And inevitably they'll find somebody else, another coach or another way, another circumstance for them to be able to really identify and become more clear about who they are through this process. So we as life coaches, and me specifically as a transformational life coach, I'm being with them where they're at, in the blindness, in the darkness. And I'm no longer afraid of being in that room in the dark. And I'm not helping her find the light switch. I'm not helping her find things. I'm saying, what's that like? And she goes, oh, I'm falling over and breaking things. It's like, wow, that's an interesting perspective. But what else is happening? And she doesn't like those questions. Clients don't like those questions. What they want us to do is give them solutions. What they want us to do is not have them be accountable for their own growth. What they want is for us to be responsible. In a sense, they want to turn their responsibility over to us. And we can't. It's not my job. It may be your job, in a sense, how you operate as a coach. How I operate as a coach is like, yeah, no, I need you to actually be the one to be aware of, to experience the experience of being in the total darkness, and the experience of what you are learning and growing, this capacity. And this client, I'll call her Catherine, says, I had no idea that this was what was going on. I had no idea this is what's happening within me as I'm progressing. I had no idea I had this capacity to experience myself this way. And this is what we're doing for our clients. This is what we're doing, is we're giving an opportunity for them to experience themselves, experiencing the dark or the night or the terror or the grief. We're giving them the opportunity to say, what's it like in this experience where there's nothing there for you, or there's loss or financial or whatever disasters are happening? What's it like for you? What's it like to experience yourself here? And it gives them another opportunity to witness their own becoming, who they are. That's our job. That's my job. Your job might be different, and that's a good thing to know, is to go, that's not my work. It's like, excellent, good to know. And if you want to put them in the comments, like, no, I don't work this way, and this doesn't fit in alignment with what I do, awesome, let us know. Because the community, people who are reading this and being present to this, it's good for them to go, yeah, no, Rosie's work is not the work I do. This is my work. And feel good about that, rather than saying, oh, I'm not doing what Rosie's doing. You don't have to do what I do. I just want you to be aware, again, of what are you experiencing as you're hearing me and listening to me? What's happening inside you in your experience of who you are? And the more that you can do that for yourself, the more you're going to be able to do that for your clients. What's it like for you experiencing yourself in this moment? But we talk generally about, in a sense, not forcing positivity, the negativity and the hards and the problems and the issues and the suckiness and the paralysis and all that stuff. But when people have wins, and they have wins, we'll just call it that. They have successes. They feel that sense of fulfillment. Or they go, wow, I just got a raise, or wow, I just got a date or something that's like, wow, that's really cool. It's like, what's it like being you right now? We make an assumption we know, but if we go, wow, what an amazing experience. What's it like for you right now? It gives them an opportunity to kind of go, wow, it feels exciting, but I'm scared at the same time, and I'm scared, but I also can't wait for it to happen. It's like we give them an opportunity to share what it's like to be. And again, coming back to my first question is, are you interested enough? Am I interested enough to listen and be present to that? The couple I was talking about that I did a couple coaching with, we were talking about what's showing up, and in a sense, in most partnerships, this is true partnership with ourselves, partnership with our coach, our clients, partnership wherever it is. It's like, do we respect and trust the individual enough to be interested? Do we respect and trust an individual enough to be present to who they are, so that when they're talking, this is one of the things that came up, when they're talking, you're not in your head going, oh, when are they going to stop talking so I can get on to the next thing? It was wonderful. That was something that this individual said. It's like, I'm waiting for him to stop talking so I can get on to the next thing. This is a moment where she was able to reflect on what her direct experience is as she's being in partnership with this person that she loves. She never had experienced that. She'd never been aware of the experience that she is having. And we'll say 50% of the time when she's with her partner, not listening, not interested enough. And she's getting it. She's going, wow, I totally get how I'm being that has our relationship be what it is versus what I say I want the relationship to be. So are we interested enough as coaches to really stay in the present moment and really listen? Are we interested enough to say, what's it like being you in there, without trying to make it a positive experience? Now, in a sense, I'm a person that knows us to be spiritual beings, and that's all good. In a sense, everything is good, everything's fine. But in the midst of a person's challenges and dilemmas and horror, sometimes I'm not going to say, hey, you're a spiritual being, it's all good, you're going to be fine. It won't be helpful, because you are having a human experience where it is maybe despairing. Maybe that's just the worst of the worst of the worst. And the truth is this is something that soul, your soul, it's the soul, may have to go through in order to experience itself becoming. Again, it's experiencing itself becoming and growing. It's like a seed, like what's inside a seed. When the seed breaks and this being starts to come out, in a sense, I imagine it's true for everything. It's experiencing itself becoming. And it can be painful. It can be a painful experience. But if I know that, then I'm sitting with that client going, what's it like being you as you come out of that shell or the chrysalis, or come out of that where you've been, or come into that room with no lights. What's it like? All right. I think I've said enough about all that. Please, if you will, give me a thumbs up. And if you don't, I just want you to be curious about why you don't. If you don't find value in this, then you can give me a thumbs down if you'd like. But notice, and I've said this before, it's like very few people actually, even in people who have major YouTube channels and stuff, not too many people give thumbs up. And that's very interesting. I think it's an interesting thing. Notice what you're experiencing yourself when you're choosing not to do that. I don't care. I'm asking, making a request, but I don't care. But notice for yourself what you're experiencing when you're saying, nope, not going to do that. And be willing maybe to leave a comment about that if you'd like. All right. Well, blessings to you. Lots of information down below in the description of where you can find me and the books and other tools that are available to you if you'd like. All right. Blessings. Bye for now.